my white cell count was elevated that first time, and I tried to explain some symptoms, and my doctor still thought the white cell count may be related to something, being elevated may be related to something else. So I ended up having to go through nuclear scans, and the nuclear scans came back okay, and then he started saying, oh my gosh, you do that with chemical reactions. And then he started really doing more and more documenting on what the results, what the exposure to the chemicals were. Documented that very clearly, how the reaction started with the drilling and have still gone with the drilling, and I still have symptoms that are still residual from the drilling to this day. And whenever they do picking up the frack water on a nightly basis, I know when they're out there, and some nights that the smell coming at that time of night is really great. And so with the doctor's letter in June, and the fact that the TCEQ could not document any of their source for the chemicals, and the chemicals that I did test positive for, they found in SUMA air samples that they took, but they kept saying, well, they were all within normal range. Well, what's normal range, and what makes a person ill? Then I call in an odor complaint, and then they send out whichever air quality specialist is on duty that day.
Mm-hmm. How many times have you called in a complaint about the air quality?
I have called in complaints probably at least 50 more times, and not all of them did they write up as a complaint.
What else would they write it up as?
Sometimes they would take the information and they would not write it up as a complaint that came in.
Uh-huh.
So they say, like there may have been, 26 complaints against Carrizo.
Uh-huh.
Well, that number is probably far low. Complaints, because they didn't always write down that, the complaints that were made.
Uh-huh.
And so when I keep an odor log, I would write down on the odor log. They didn't have those until November of 2009. Then I would write down that I called the TCEQ and made a complaint as well. We never had a single solitary voice in gas drilling being put close to our house, because they never bothered to tell us. The university especially never bothered to even include us and say, we're planning on putting a gas drilling rig over by your house, and we're not going to follow, we're going to put it too close to your house, because they went like 300 feet when the city ordinance is 600 feet. And then they refused to follow city ordinances because they went to the state and got a drilling permit and not from the city.
Now, if student housing, a YWCA daycare center, and Sandra's home are all less than 600 feet away from the drill site, how far is it from the drill site to the actual natural gas? Well, it's pretty far. About a mile below the Earth's surface is where the actual fracking happens. Water, sand, and mysterious trade secret chemicals are pumped into the earth to fracture it so they can get to the natural gas. They can drill deeper or sideways, left, right, whichever. Then it has to get pumped back up. If you took the Empire State Building and stacked it on top of itself, you would need not 1, not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but 10 Empire State Buildings. Sandra's case is particularly significant because it's the first to be filed against Carrizo Oil and Gas through the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or TCEQ. Those chemicals found in Sandra's blood are the same as the ones the TCEQ found around the drill site.
This is the information on the violation, and it's based on the law. And the law states that no person can release any substance or combination of substances thereof that makes a person ill. And so that's what they base the violation on. They have the doctor's letter. They have the fact that they could find no other source for the chemicals that I was exposed to except Carrizo Oil and Gas. And they mapped out the whole area so that they knew everything at different wind times, that that was here trying to find other sources for the chemicals. And so with the information that they have and my doctor's letter and the blood tests, that's why the violation was issued. When you are in your home, I have hardwood floors, ceramic tile floors. I use non-toxic cleaning supplies. I have air filters in my house. I had air filters before this ever began. I had a special HEPA filtration put on my furnace. I have all electric. There's no gas in here. When you live in a area and you've done fairly well, and I've lived here since 1984, you don't expect that somebody's come in and turn your world upside down. And when they would set off my carbon monoxide detector, the fear it created that if I fall asleep, they're going to kill me was astronomical. I was afraid to fall asleep, period. And the fact that they would not help me made life a living hell.